My name is Kash Fadaie, CEO, founder of Fadaie Insurance. Fadaie Insurance gave me everything I could ever dream for. And fundamentally, what I do is I help entrepreneurs become insurance agency brokers succeed in the insurance. Now, I do that with the Fadaie franchise. What if you bought a franchise where you have mitigated most of the risk? I have a key formula, and I've distilled all of the things that do work. And that today is the Fadaie franchise opportunity, which I am offering on this podcast. This podcast is designed for me to have discussions about it. And I know it's the least sexiest subject, but I endeavor to bring fun and heart-centeredness into the insurance space. I'm here to speak about that on this podcast, to discuss it, the subtleties of the business. I call it chewing the cud. Talk about it, and we'll have some incredible guests that will come who can also provide some rebuttal and challenge, grit, tenacity, positivity, and growing. I'd love to speak with you. Don't hesitate in contacting me and perhaps discovering if this is an opportunity that would fit for what you have in mind this year. So let's jump into this week's episode. Boom, here we are. This is Kash Fadaie, Fadaie Insurance Services. I'm the founder and CEO of this incredible agency that I started with nothing except faith, hard work, grit, to name a few ingredients. But today is a special day because today we're launching our first ever podcast. And I'm grateful to be doing this. I believe I need to articulate my message and my journey. So decided to launch this today because my offer is strong. And it's not something I read somewhere. It's something that is experiential knowledge. I've experienced what my agency in the insurance space, insurance industry, and to be specific, insurance agency / broker space is where I operate. And it's done me well. And it needs to be discussed. I make a very strong offer. And some of it is not so tangible. Insurance, when people hear insurance, they likely think of going to sleep. It's boring. But it turns out that it's a very integral part of our society, right? I mean, if there wasn't insurance, there would be civil unrest. And what is insurance? Insurance is the transfer of risk. And risk exists on this planet. And as long as risks exist, there needs to be protection. And when you have an asset, things that we call our stuff, well, they consequentially have importance, emotional importance, familial importance. So I make it a living to protect people's peace of mind. There's something I say. I sell insurance overtly, but covertly, I sell peace of mind. So that is what I'm here to talk about. That is the ethos of this channel. For you who have joined and are listening, you likely saw an advertisement about my offer, and you may want to follow up on that. And that's probably what led you here to who is this guy and what is he talking about and how is insurance an asset and why is it an investment? And so that's what I will be outlining in the weeks, months, and years to come. So welcome to the show. Again, my name is Kash Fadaie. And Fadaie is pronounced like Hawaii, Fadaie. And I'm grateful to get started. So I think we have a couple of questions that may be good for me to answer, which you may be able to extract some inspiration from, some data from. And that could lead to more questions, and it could lead to a one-on-one discussion with me, which I'm open to do anytime. One of the unique things that I do before we get started is that I approach insurance holistically. And by holistic, I mean I'm a spiritual person. My main purpose on being on earth is to realize who I am, self-realization, as it were, to become more compassionate and more loving. That's my main goal. And ever since I was 9 or 10, that's what I've been after. Now, what I've done over the years of being a spiritual aspirant, if you will, I had to also become a householder, a father, a husband. And so what I did was I married these two realms that I call the spiritual life and the professional life. So I made insurance part of my spiritual practice. So when I look at challenges that arise, those challenges aren't random from my perspective. Those challenges are opportunities in disguise. So that's how I approach insurance. And that's how I've been very lucky to make it for 20 years. And it wasn't just luck, it was likely to do with support from the laws of nature, likely to do with cause and effect. Do good unto others as you would want them to do unto you, the golden rule. And so that has given me a lot of success. So my mission with the insurance industry is to bring heart-centeredness into it and to help Americans and internationally even, anybody who wants to participate, to create financial legacy. So that's kind of what I'm about. And I'm here to enable entrepreneurs and agents to become insurance agency owners. It's a very difficult practice, but my Fadaie franchise opportunity is the pathway to make you successful in this industry. And you may as well learn from somebody who has done it, right? And that's the key opportunity, I think, that I'm able to bring about the formula of embarking on, I would say, the most incredible industry. And we'll go into those reasons shortly here with some of the questions we have. So welcome, and let's get started.
Hi, Kash. Yeah, thanks for starting this podcast. I just have some big picture questions here. So most entrepreneurs I know are chasing SaaS, real estate, e-commerce. Why insurance agency ownership, and why now?
It's a great question, Mike. It's, for one, insurance is the only industry at large scale that promises residual income. Let me unpack residual income because that's a catchphrase. When you sell an insurance policy as an agent, you then earn a commission. You do the work, quote them, you ask for the sale, they purchase, you get a commission. That insurance contract, AKA policy, has a term. It's got a period of time that it's active for, usually 6 months, sometimes 12 months. When that policy comes to its renewal stage, and that client of yours that you wrote sold 6 months ago, 12 months ago, a new commission comes in. But this time, it's without you, the franchisee or the agent, doing any work for it. So imagine thousands of clients that you have now sold insurance policies to, right? 5 years from now. Every month, you're manifesting renewal income, right? You can't say that about the car business, real estate, loans. Many businesses out there, they can't truly claim this beautiful way that insurance earns you money while you're asleep, right? So that would be the first thing I would say, Mike. The other thing, there's 3 components. The other thing I would say is truly recession-proof. A lot of people say it's recession-proof, their business is recession-proof, but when I started this business in 2006, 2 years later, 2008, there was the credit crunch in the United States, 2008, 2009, as you recall. And I grew my agency out of that recession. In 2020, fast forward, we had COVID. Insurance was one of those essential businesses that could stay open. Why? You can't part with it. It's something that you have to have, whether you're affluent or you're not affluent. You got to have car insurance. You got to have home insurance. If you own the house outright, why would you use your own money if the house was compromised? You transfer your risk with a premium, right? So, but if you have a loan, which most Americans have loans on their mortgages, the lender requires it because that's a collateral. So in that way, just to unpack, when I say recession-proof, it rides the wave or the waves of inflation. So if the cost of goods go up, cost of repair goes up, the cost of replacing things go up, insurance has to ride that wave. So for the franchisee, when that premium goes up, it's a raise for them. Not to sound insensitive, but that's just the way the business works. So the third component, Mike, is true flexibility. You don't have to show up and show a house. You don't have to go to a parking lot and demo a vehicle. You run this business 100% with your laptop, your desktop, anywhere in the world. One of the greatest things Fadaie Insurance and this industry gave me is, in these 20 years, I not only created wealth monetarily, but more importantly, I have a successful marriage. I have a successful relationship with my kids. Why is that? It's because the insurance industry is such, because of the leveraging of technology, I could always cater to my clientele, but yet be present in situations where I needed to be present with my family, whether it's soccer games, gymnastics, taking my wife out on a date. So I would say those 3 components, right? So true residual income, pure flexibility, and of course, recession-proof.
Excellent. Speaking about that, because is this investment opportunity for everyone then? Who shouldn't invest in this opportunity?
If you're not a kind of person who has yet achieved self-motivation, this isn't for you. If you haven't gotten to a point yet, and I say yet, because there's a chance for everybody, but this is an entrepreneur dynamic. It's going to take a lot of effort, and you have to be very clear. So if you're not clear about what you want, this may not be for you at all, right? If you're motivated, though, if you're motivated to create cash flow, purchase assets, then I'm going to convince you, and I'd love to hear the argument against it, but I'm going to convince you that this is one of the best asset classes you can involve yourself with. But it's going to take emotional intelligence. So if you haven't developed that yet, this is not for you. If you're not sales oriented, and by sales oriented, I mean the ability to be enthusiastic and passionate about what you're doing. And what you're doing is providing risk management. You're providing peace of mind. One of the greatest things I love about the business, which gives me enthusiasm every day, is people trust me. So imagine they're affording me trust. So I don't take that lightly, right? That trust on Maslow's actualization table, or a pyramid rather, is a very high vibration, if you will. So that gives me the wind in my sail, the passion and enthusiasm to then help people protect the things that make them money. That's what we're doing, essentially. We protect agents, franchisees, we protect the stuff that consequentially makes that individual money and creates financial legacy for them. So it's a beautiful position to be in, but you have to be clear on what you're doing, clear on who you are, and then that enthusiasm, notice the word entheo, right? God within. Enthusiasm to then bring that and let that exude out of you, out of every keystroke, out of every phone call, out of every email. So that would be the answer on that.
That sounds good. I mean, I'm definitely clear on who I am. I have enthusiasm, but I'm not from insurance. Can I succeed in this?
Absolutely. If you have those ingredients, the emotional intelligence, the grit, you don't have to be the greatest salesperson. It's not like that. In fact, the more authentic you are, the better it works for insurance. Because people can read who you are. So the car sales approach is not the best with insurance. Here's the beautiful part. You don't have to know insurance. That's what the Fadaie franchise opportunity solves. You do not have to have experience, because one of the components of Fadaie franchise is that we teach the business. This is a trade. You don't go to school for insurance. I mean, if you think back to your college days, there wasn't insurance courses. There hardly is even today. This is a business that is taught from, I call it, from master to student tradition. So Fadaie franchise, in one of the components that we offer real-time support, and we teach the business. I've taught this business to hundreds of people successfully, and I love teaching it because I love it. I love people. I love this business. So it works. So yes, you could start and learn this business. And in fact, lastly, I brought in a person in Orange County, California. He was working with Costco in management for about 2 decades or so. And he wanted to come into the financial space. And I call it the financial space because insurance is the defensive approach to finance, right? We defend your cash. So he wanted to come in, English wasn't his first language even. No insurance experience. He came in 2.5 years now. He's one of our top agents. He's close to making $300,000 a year. No insurance experience. Why? Because of the residual income. So it compounds. So he's hustling. And those insurance clients, because Fadaie has a 89% retention rate. So these people stay with us and those commissions come in and we split those commissions, you see? And that's the beauty of it.
I see. So I heard that you actually give away leads to your franchisees and whatnot. That seems like an amazing deal. Why are you so passionate about helping start their own agencies instead of just growing your own?
That's a great question. Because when you have somebody, it's a matter of consciousness, okay? If somebody is coming in as a W-2 employee, and there's a lot of great employees out there, but there's a contrast between somebody who works for a company and somebody who works for themselves. That's why I said earlier, this is an entrepreneur path. And what I've discovered, in fact, I used to have W-2 employees. That path that I took was not ideal in that a lot of these people that were coming to work with us at the time when we were doing the W-2 employee model was that they weren't self-motivated. It was just a job. They weren't reaching deep within. They weren't enthusiastic. And if there was some moments of enthusiasm, it wasn't consistent. There was a lot of irregularity, right? And so I realized quickly that in order for me to create this insurance sort of empire, right, this legacy, I needed to invest in human capital. And what I mean by human capital is the person coming in should have impetus. They should have skin in the game. They should have a consciousness that is akin to my own. Somebody who is big picture person, a visionary, because that person is going to be then coming in with a different set of values. They're going to approach this as if they're doing this for their own. And what do I mean by that? I mean that if you purchase a Fadaie franchise and you run your branch for 5 years, and let's say you're grossing $1 million a year, and you decide, you know what? I want to sell. I want to exit. You can do that with a Fadaie franchise. Now, that exit strategy means you have book ownership. So what that means is you would take your gross revenue, we would go and get that evaluated by an appraiser, usually about 2.5 times, 3.5 times the gross revenue. Now you can go market that branch. There's a lot of buyers out there that would love to buy an existing book of business. We call that a book of business. And you could potentially sell for $2.5, $3.5 million. That's awesome. That type of impetus is hard to get with a W-2 person because they don't have skin in the game. It's just a job. This is not a job. The Fadaie franchise opportunity, it levels you up into ownership as an investor. So that's the difference. It's a huge difference. And in order for me to scale the way I want to, I need people that are A players. And I discovered the best way to do that is with the franchise scaling model, because it allows me to then call upon those type of people that see that vision as I do.
That's really interesting. How important is it for any inspiring franchisee to build a strong team in their franchise? And do you have any strategies in mind?
Well, that's a beautiful part of the Fadaie franchise because, see, one of the things that we agree to when you join is that we handle the service team, the service part. Because remember, you're going to sell an insurance policy. The person's in love with you. Thank you so much. Now, a month later, they're going to need something. ID cards, evidence of insurance. They might need to change something, add a driver. You know what I mean? And so you don't get involved in that part. See, if you would get involved in that, we call that the service side. We have a whole team as part of the agreement where our service team, who just only focuses on service, completely handles that so that you don't. Is we want to put you, the franchisee agent, in the offense position, picture soccer metaphor, and we want you to produce business, shoot goals, score goals. So when you asked about setting up a team or a team culture, that's the beauty of purchasing plugging into a franchise, is that it's a proven model. It already works. And what are we doing when you plug in? We're collapsing your most precious commodity, which is time. Because it would take 20 years, 10, 20 years, and a lot of money to then test and course correct to get to where an established franchise, such as Fadaie Franchise, already sits. So team culture has been worked out. The service team has been worked out. The CRM, the technology, we've already worked it out. So now, if you come in and let's say you don't want to write the business, right? You don't want to sell yourself. That's fine. You could do that because there's enough margin for you, the franchisee, to be a silent owner. What I mean by silent owner is you could be like, hey, Kash, I have capital. I just want to diversify, and I want to diversify in a different asset pool, such as insurance. I'm sold on your idea, but I don't want to write the business myself. Fine. You come in, we help you find an agent, a licensed agent, and the agent then is going to produce business. And you still have a 25% margin. Now, superimpose that with stocks, bonds, real estate, which are averaging about 7 to 10%. And it's recession-proof. And you've collapsed time. You don't have to go become a real estate guru or learn everything to know about stocks. That's the beauty of a Fadaie franchise. That's the beauty of any franchise, but specifically the Fadaie franchise, because of what we are able to bring to the table, which is, and we'll go into that, of course, today. There are many other things that we bring to the table that I will articulate on. But the other factors are that I think you mentioned leads. So we'll talk about leads too when that comes up.
So you talk a lot about collapsing time. What does that actually mean in practical terms for someone who becomes an agency owner?
It's a good question, because right now, if you were to do this alone, solo, the number one obstacle you're going to face, because remember, let's be clear, an insurance agency brokerage is not an insurance carrier. Okay, we're not the insurer. What is an agency? What is a brokerage? We are a distribution company. We distribute contracts, and we offer a service for those contracts. Policies, contracts, okay? So in order to distribute policies, the agent has to have an appointment, we call that. An appointment is basically the authority to then offer or sell that carrier's policies. That's called an appointment. And so getting an appointment is almost impossible, especially because you need a lot of appointments, because you can't just have 1 or 2 or 10 or 20. You got to have a lot of relationships, or I call it inventory, because it's a highly competitive game. I mean, you're competing with companies, insurers that have a lot of advertising spend. And there's a lot of people in this business. If you go Google, insurance is probably one of the number one, active tags, on the internet. So getting appointments is extremely difficult. So when I say collapse time, you can do it, but it would take you a lot of time. That's one. Number two, learning how to do the business right takes a lot of time. You're going to have to fail a little bit. It's part of the game. With Fadaie, I've failed a lot, gotten back up. So the benefit of a franchise here is, you get that distilled wisdom of my failures and my sorrows and wins, and all of that is, here you go. On day one, you have it. You have the keys to a cash machine, pun intended. So that's the other thing. The third thing is, Mike, so let's say you have appointments and you know what you're doing. Well, now you got to get clients. How are you going to get clients? You might sell the people around you, but then what? What are you going to do? You're going to go door to door? Well, if you go door to door, that means you're not quoting. Quoting equals sales. So if you're not quoting, you're not getting better at writing insurance. Well, then that slows you down. Well, if you can do online marketing and lead generation, but it's going to take a lot of money, and you're going to have to make a lot of mistakes to learn the specific niche in your area. Again, all of those things, we've done it. We have a lead generation department at Fadaie, and what we do is we have a telemarketing team, and we warm transfer human beings, clients, who have the intention to buy insurance, which collapses time, because you can talk to the person, qualify them on the phone, collect their data, quote them, because you have markets, sell them. That's the way it should be. And so that's what I mean by time. Now, you could say, Kash, well, I have money. I could just go buy an insurance agency. You could. It costs you to get a good insurance agency. It'll cost you about $1 million, maybe $500,000, million, whatever, depending on the size. It could be more. It could be 10 million. But if you're buying an agency, that's great. But you got to understand, when you buy an agency, 50 to 60% of that book of business, unfortunately, goes by the wayside just because of change of ownership, especially if you don't go in with expertise. Now, if you do it properly with expertise, you could mitigate some of that. But it's a known thing that there is this attrition that happens when you purchase. So I always believe in organic growth, but you can. But the problem is you don't have the expertise then you would have to hire a consultant. And that's really what the Fadaie franchise is I am sort of a consultant. The only difference is that by looking at the Fadaie franchise, you've calculated your risk because of a proven system and all of the ingredients, which I call the pain points that I survived in 20 years. I have those antidotes. I have those remedies for them. And those remedies are the ones that we're articulating today. So, yeah.
Well, speaking of realistic trajectories, what does the income trajectory actually look like?
Well, we have a payback period of less than 1.5 years. So if you invest $50,000, so the buy-in is $50,000, And we recommend, and it's financeable, by the way. So get with me on that if you're interested, or if that's some sort of a challenge, or you just want to leverage. So yeah, the buy-in is $50,000. We recommend to have, there's a ramp-up period, which means once you produce business, it'll take about 3 months for commissions to come in. But we recommend about $50,000 on backup. Now, one of the beautiful things about this offer is that you don't have to have a brick and mortar office. You can do this from your home if you wanted to. It keeps your overheads really low. And because we have the service personnel, you don't have to hire anybody right away if you didn't want to. All you need is internet. Now, with a $100,000 investment, you can have your principal investment back in 1.5 years if you follow the way we do business, which a simple formula: quoting equals sales. The reason why I say that is because quoting not only converts leads into sales, that's obvious, but quoting makes you adept, proficient. To learn this business, you have to quote a lot. And don't wish it was easy. I'm going to quote Jim Rohn here. Wish you were better. Because the better you get, the better you master this craft, the more confidence you have, and the more experience you will get. And with that mastery comes bigger premiums. And so, and people say, well, couldn't AI do this? No, they can't. I mean, I'm always looking for AI that could do it, but it's not out there. It's too nuanced. Insurance is too subtle, too nuanced. And a lot of humans don't want to trust their assets with robots. But yeah, the ROI is great. Now, I will, in one of our future shows, I need to demonstrate this, not just by speaking it, but I'm going to, I have our CFO who created, I asked our CFO to create for us an Excel that can illustrate what the investment is and how the renewals work. And we factored in attrition, we factored in our retention, all of the items that are involved in the insurance business. And we're going to put that up on the screen, and I can kind of guide us. And we can look at 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years. That's what it takes. You really have to see. And here's the thing. When you own a book of business in the insurance world, lenders will lend you money on it. Now, why do I say that? I say that because certain lenders who understand insurance, they're willing to use it as collateral because it's an asset, see? And so I just wanted to bring that up because that is the reason this insurance industry is so remarkable. It's really because of those residual income proposals that I keep talking about.
A lot of people do think, and maybe this is the case, that insurance is really regulated and complicated. How do you get past that for future investors?
Well, it's regulated for a good thing. It's a good reason it's regulated because it makes it more reputable, right? If an industry is regulated, it means that people can trust insurance more. Something is unregulated, there's a lot of swindlers out there, but we're grateful that the state, your respective state, regulates. It keeps the accountability going, and it helps consumers because what we're selling is trust, everybody. We're selling trust. So if there's bad players, they should be flushed out. So if you're running a long-term insurance practice, you want it to be regulated. Now, as far as complexity, I always say it's not an easy business, but it is simple if you keep it simple. And that's why joining a team is a better idea, because it's a community business. You want to have people that practice this with you. And that's what we do. We practice this business. This is not something that, it's like practicing law, practicing medicine, practicing insurance. We're always learning, and there's a lot of elements that come along. So you need a team, a posse, a think tank to continuously evolve. We're committed to evolving. But it sounds complicated, but in reality, everybody has to have it. So it's not a hard sale. If you sign up with an entity like Fadaie, who has support and leadership in real time, AI technology, CRM technology, management, markets are the appointments I was talking about, a very robust compensation plan with transferability, which is ownership, as I said, exit strategy, and a service crew who will not bog you down, so you can continue on leveraging your skill, which is field underwriting. We call it field underwriting. You're on the field underwriting, you see? And it becomes super fun and interesting and lovely and challenging enough to keep you poised. Yeah, so that's what I love about the insurance business. It's really always challenged me, and I've always overcome and gotten better through it. How did I get better through it? I'm like one of the best multitaskers in the world, because you got to have those skills, and your brain has to work that way, because you're trying to always usher in customer experience. Yeah, that's what Fadaie is. We want customer experience to be of the utmost highest caliber. So we work hard to build a great reputation. So that involves being agile and multitasking. So just to name a few things, yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. So I saw that you offer your franchisees over 150 carriers and specialty coverages like long haul trucking. How does that give franchisees a competitive edge?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, because most agencies and brokerages, they focus on auto and home, very vanilla. And that's fine, because there's plenty of business out there. We don't shy away from that. We love auto and home and renters and motorcycle insurance and boat and watercraft. Great. But we lead and we train and teach our new franchisees. We lead with commercial insurance, business owners, general liability, workers' comp, because that is the apex of the financial pyramid. In other words, if somebody owns a business and you help them find a better policy and save them money, that type of individual is going to want to give you their auto and home as well. So we like to lead with commercial, and it's like a trickle-down effect. Commercial is typically a bigger ticket item, bigger commissions, because it has bigger premium, but you get it all that way. A lot of agency, the way they produce is they approach the business with personal lines only, auto and home. We go the other way. We want our franchisees to work commercial, get to know commercial, get better at commercial, and then do auto and home. We do it all. But you may be a person who says, hey, my dad was a trucker and my uncle was a trucker, and I'm just using this trucking as an example. And I know a lot of people in the trucking, long haul trucking industry that I can communicate with. Well, great. We have trucking commercial markets, right? So, and we have the tools for you to procure the data. If you have the connection with the trucker, great. That's half the game. The rest is collecting the data. They're willing to give you the data, DOT numbers, driver's license numbers, VIN numbers, all that minutia. When we collect that data with our technology, then we send it to the right underwriter, the right market, the right carrier who has an appetite for that type of risk, right? Trucking. Then we get you a firm quote, and then you deliver the quote. Then you superimpose that quote to what they have. And since you have that gelled connection, you're likely going to get that business. So that's what I mean specifically about, niche. So the sky's the limit for you who are listening right now. It's if you want to take on car dealerships, let's go. If you want to do restaurants, if you want to do buildings, skyscrapers, sky's the limit. With a brokerage, independent insurance agency, that's another part of the flexibility that we have in our field underwriting. So there's a lot of latitude when it comes to working and becoming a broker, insurance broker.
It sounds like there's a lot of opportunities and a lot of different things. How do you provide any training or support for all these opportunities, and what does that look like?
From day one, after you onboard, when you purchase a Fadaie franchise, you go through a 2-week orientation to learn some of our systems. But the day you come on the Dojo, and the Dojo is something I created, and as I said before, it's like a martial art insurance. It's a trade. It's a master to student type of, ceremony, if you will. So I created the Dojo. It's a tradition. And the Dojo is a Zoom that's 9 to 5. So a lot of times you join an organization and you're kind of on your own, not with Fadaie. Your success is tied to my success. So I want to make sure you're doing things properly and you're getting the help you need. So what you do is you come on the Zoom, on the Dojo, you turn your camera on, and you start working. Day one, you pick up leads and you ask questions. And hey Kash, where would I place this? I have a plumber. Okay, go to Bolt Penguin, put it in, go to the final stage, the results, and then there'll be a few companies, and then let's bridge over to those companies and get a firm quote, etc. You see? So that type of real-time training and support is what I've done and gotten the proof of concept out of, and now I'm offering it in the Fadaie franchise. So that's what you can expect. And it's especially important for the first 10 franchisees that join. You get to work with me, not to be haughty, but hey, I do have a great impartation because I made it in the business. So it's a special sort of perk. Likely as we get into 20, 30, 50, 100, 200 locations, I'll have trainers. But we will never tarnish the quality in our approach, because we believe that if you learn something quickly in real time, when the answers are dropped in your consciousness, when you really need it, you're more adhesive. The information is extrapolated more adhesively. So then you own that. So you're evolving quicker versus having to, again, it comes back to collapsing time. The more time we collapse, if we come to a place where we can agree that time is, in fact, the most precious commodity, then if we're congruent on that fact, then what we need to do is get the most earning from our time. We need to shorten our time, gain more intel, and become more efficient. I call that lowering your entropy. The more we lower our entropy as insurance agents, the more we maximize our growth, maximize our freedom. And so that is the sort of holistic spiritual side of the articulation of it. I like to use metaphors like that. But yeah, we want to lower entropy.
No, that's really deep, and that makes a lot of sense. And it's kind of amazing that you're doing something like this. We're running out of time right now, but maybe we can end on, if I'm on the fence right now, what's the cost of not doing this?
Well, the cost of not doing this is procrastination. It's never knowing what your true potential could have been. Now, maybe you'll embark on it in some other way. That's fine. But this is one of those times. This is one of those times where you could make the phone call, have more discussions, and maybe get clear. Maybe the discussion might help you get clear on what it is that you really want. And if we agree that investing in assets is the way to create financial freedom, then this would be a lost opportunity, because everybody knows about the usual investments. But what I'm offering today is something that most people don't think of as an investment, but it is. Insurance is one of the best investments because you got to have it. Nobody can part with it. It's recession-proof, and it's purely flexible with larger margins. And lastly, it rides the waves of inflation. So for that reason, I believe it would behoove you to take that step right now. Book a call with me. Let's talk. Let's go deeper into some questions. And perhaps this is for you. And if you join, I will guarantee you'll not only have financial freedom, but joining our team, as it has been said, has also helped a lot of our teammates revolutionize their approach to life, their mental, physical, spiritual, obviously financial, and emotional areas of their life, because of the sort of ecosystem that we've created. When you join a team, you are grafted into that culture. And our culture is benevolence. It's growth. It's compassion. It's the golden rule. It's jubilee. It's enlightenment. We want more for our society. We want more for ourselves, for our families. We want to help others. And so that's the energy. So it would behoove you to look into this further, and I'd be grateful to meet with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Kash, for joining us. And I definitely want to jump into all that stuff in a future episode, maybe, and learn how all your insight on all these things, because like the spiritual aspect, I think a lot of people don't talk about, and just changing your lifestyle to have something to build this. I would never think this was such a big and good asset class, and you're definitely convincing me. Can you tell people how to find you and where to look for more information?
Yeah, super easy. Fadaie, if you just type it in, Fadaie, Fadaie sounds like Hawaii, okay? If you put in Fadaie Insurance in Google, you'll see our website. You'll see, a plethora of social media, and there's a chat widget in my website. There's obviously our phone number. There's email. So those are the easiest ways to get a hold of me. And yeah, and I'm always available because, as I said earlier, doing insurance is my spiritual practice. It's part of, this is what I've been called to do. So I look at this as a very sacred thing. And so, so I'm available. So get in touch with me. I'd love to talk with you.
All right. Thanks, Kash. Thanks for dropping in today.
Appreciate it, Mike.
Bye.